afternoon again, everyone. Welcome to Faith and Healing. Yes, it is where we get an opportunity to talk to you about not only how to care for yourself and myself physically, which is very important, but we should also care for ourselves spiritually. And we want to give God thanks because we believe in a God who is not only concerned about how we grow in our spiritual health, although that is highly significant, but how we grow in our physical health. So he wants well-roundedness. Well, this is why we also remind you on a very weekly basis that our attempt here on Faith and Healing is not by any means to treat, to cure, or to diagnose any disease or ailment that you might face. We encourage you each week to speak with and work along with a medically trained professional who is able to give you the results of what is happening in your body. And when you have that information, wisdom would teach you and me to do all that we can to also eat a diet that is helping and not hurting our bodies. And I know that that is not an easy thing to do because we are creatures of appetite. And even at our very best to stay on a very healthy diet, many of us tend to go back, we retract. But it is very important that we stay on that path as very best as we can. And if for any reason this is a struggle for you, our purpose here is not to judge your journey at all. It is to encourage you, it is to inspire you, and it is to help you to take that walk. So if you are on a journey where you have not made any dietary changes, or you probably did and it is still somewhat of a struggle, believe me, I know exactly what you're talking about and I understand it very well. But we are encouraging you to not give up. Stay as close to the healthy side as possible. And always remember, whatever you are eating or drinking, be sure that you are doing that to the honor and glory of God. In other words, eat foods that are biblically, healthy, the ones that God gave us to eat because he created every creature and he knows what's best and what is not. And you can find those details in the Levitical laws in Leviticus chapter 11. It is always good to know what God's plan is for our lives because his plan is not to ruin our fun, take away from our joy, and to make our lives miserable and make us dull and boring individuals. His plan, it is to prosper us. It is not to hurt us. It is not a plan that is meant for evil. It is for good, and it is to bring us to an expected end. That's what Jeremiah 29 and verse 11 said. So if you feel like, oh my goodness, like this is really messing with my diet, okay? This is really messing with my food that I like. I understand, okay? So one day at a time, one step at a time, no judgments here, no criticisms at all. We're here to cheer you on. We're here to encourage you, and we're here to let you know you can do this. But whatever you do not just eat for taste. As much as I love great tasting food, but eat to live, okay? This is very important. And I do know this. I tell you this all the time. Even at our very best, even the people who have exhibited the greatest diets, they still ended up coming down with certain things. We live in a sinful world. Environment also plays a factor. Habits, lifestyle practices, our sleep patterns, our stress levels. So it's not only diet, it's a combination of many things. But look, let's try, okay? Can we do this? Let's try. We're going to try. We know it's not easy, but we're going to try. Let us try. All right. So hence Faith and Healing. So the question is always asked, when Christ was doing ministry, said, do you want to be made whole? Meaning, I don't just want you to be healed physically. I want you to be well mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, in every sense of the word. And let me tell you this. From someone who has known both sides, experienced, imbalances with emotional health, and coming to a place of great emotional balance today, living a life that is so free and so empowered in God and Christ. and feeling at such great peace in mind, body, and spirit, and sleeping so beautifully and not being stressed and overwhelmed about the issues or the matters of life, I could tell you this, that there is healing in God, in following God, in following after God. And I'll tell you this, it is a healing that will actually blow your mind. You will sit back and go, how did I get to this great and phenomenal place? And it is an incredible feeling. There are days I reflect on how peaceful life is, even amidst adversity. And it is actually mind-blowing. So let me invite you to trust this God with your faith, trust this God with your healing. And I promise you this, life is not going to be perfect because you and I are not living in a perfect world. But what I can tell you is you will come to know the peace of God that surpasses all of your human understanding. In your heart, in your mind, in your spirit, in your body. It is phenomenal. It is an incredible feeling that cannot be described into words. That's why it surpasses our understanding. Well, here on Faith and Healing, we just really enjoy being able to bring you, things that we know can bring such great healing to your mind, to your body, and to your spirit. And today we're looking at one of those. We're looking at memory care. Memory care. Yeah, there's this mindset that the memory only tends to be affected when we're getting older. That's a factor. There is great truth in that. As we get older, we're not as sharp, sadly and unfortunately, but it shouldn't be this way, okay? There are many factors in our life that is contributing to why we are experiencing failing memory that is not only related to age. And many people tend to begin to care for the memory when it is already too late. So what we want to do, and I include myself in the recipient and student of what I'm giving to you as well, we want to work together to be able to process a mindset that is caring and tending for our memory health, okay? And that includes dietary behavior as well, because sometimes we want everything to just come from a pill. If we could just get a pill to do that, because it's so much easier to just pop a pill. But we have to also be willing to implement dietary behaviors and lifestyles and practices that is assisting and helping in our mental care, in our memory care. So believe it or not, there are many people who are probably of the assumption that things like anxiety and depression and worry and all of those things do not have a root in how they eat and they drink, but it actually does. The way that we eat and the way that we drink is also very consistent with our memory health. How we are responding to our memory behavior has a lot to do with what we are putting in our bodies and what we're putting in our system. So here's what I want to share though. Understandably so, that we may find ourselves, probably enjoying and indulging in certain foods that probably, even though, they do not have the kind of nutritional values that we should have, because they're dead foods really. And think about this. If we're eating dead foods, then we're not eating to live, we're eating to die, okay? So if the food is either overcooked or overprocessed, whatever the food is, whether it is fast foods or canned foods or whatever those foods are that are not giving any beneficial values to the body, nutritional values, then it means that whenever we eat that, we're not eating to prolong our health or to, aid in our longevity process. And I understand, We're not God. So when the time comes for us to not be here anymore, that time will play out. But that doesn't mean we have to do anything to speed up the process. We can still work along with God by being participators in our health, journey and process. So let us be determined as we are making choices. So if you're a person who is a very fast food mindset person, then you should understand that you're not helping the cell life of your body, because you're not giving it anything that is encouraging its prolonging and its lifespan, because the things that you are giving it are things that are killing it, not allowing it to survive. So then we have to be careful to not want great health while not doing anything to promote great health, right? So let us, in the matters of brain activity, brain health, mind care, memory care, because the brain is such a phenomenal aspect of the body. Apart, we're told that even though it can stretch across a field, we're not using it enough. Wow. That we have not even plugged into the larger percentage of it, that we've done it a disjustice and injustice and a disservice by not allowing it to do its full work. May God have mercy on us. And then we come to a place where we abuse it so much by lack of sleep, something that we are all guilty of, whether it's by taking on too many projects, or there are people who suffer from sleep paralysis, insomnia, whether it's for fear or depression or worry or anxiety, whatever the factors are that is taking away from your ability to sleep effectively. Now remember this. The word of God said that when the people of God lay down, their sleep should be sweet. And it also says that God gives sleep to his beloved. So let me share this from someone who has battled those things. Whenever those things are playing out in our lives, then we know that the enemy is at work. Because if God says he gives sleep to his beloved, and that when we lay down, nothing shall make us afraid, and our sleep will be sweet, then it means that there is another factor that is playing out in our lives that is determined to rob us of our great peace and our rest. Something that plays very much on memory health, okay? Because think about it. By the time you've not had great sleep for a couple of days, you're not sharp enough to remember certain things. You're either woozy, sleepy, drowsy, you're unfocused, somewhat disoriented, and you are dragging yourself. You do not have the same level of energy. You can't. I couldn't, okay? So let's keep this in mind. In the matters of memory care, sleep is very important, because ultimately that then leads to a number of factors, including Alzheimer's and Parkinson's and other kinds of illnesses that are related to poor memory care. Poor memory care. So what does this have to do with diet and eating well? Well, the brain needs good rest. The brain needs exercise. The brain needs to be constantly working in order for it to be able to experience the strength that it needs in order to work. And if it's not getting sufficient rest, then that unquestionably is going to begin to affect memory. Stress levels also affect memory care. That is something we have to be very careful with also. Our stress levels, they affect memory care, and they ultimately lead to those debilitating memory diseases like Alzheimer's and dementia. A disease that is plaguing so many across the globe. And the statistics on future results of people who will likely be infected continues to increase. And we are praying to God that he, brings about the innovative methods that would bring a treatment and a cure, because this is a horrendous and horrible disease that destroys not only the person who is plagued by it, but the families and those who are caring for them. It is a terrible disease. And we are praying for God's mercy to be able to bring wisdom to the medical arena to be able to provide sufficient treatments for that kind of disease. But let us see what we can do in the process to play our part to be able to be contributors of our own betterment. Sometimes we boast and thrive on the fact that we have late nights, or we hang out late, or we live in cities that do not sleep, and we have 24-hour drive-thrus and 24-hour banking and 24-hour laundry care. And you wonder, why do you want to do laundry at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning? Why do we want to be up banking at 5 o'clock in the morning? And yet we've been caught up in this cycle of dysfunction that is hurting our brain life and the health of our brain, and is not contributing to the care of our bodies. But let us remember that according to studies, the brain is the mastermind behind everything that you and I do. And when the brain stops functioning, we are in a lot of trouble. When the brain does not bring the focus and the thought processing and the memory and movements and the breathing and the heartbeat of everything that we do, we are in a lot of trouble. And what we want to do in this segment of our Faith and Healing presentation is to be able to share with you some food ideas that is able to improve and care for your memory health. And so we have today some factors that you can work with, some food options that you can work with that is able to bring you some relief that aids in your memory care. Once again, if it's not your thing, if you're not the kind that is into nuts, into grains, into berries, understood. But please understand that by not incorporating those things into the diet, you are doing a lot of damage to your memory health and to your memory care. Well, let us look at some of the foods that aid, well in, remember, there is a great connection between mind and body. So that whatever we ingest, whatever we put in, it also works on the brain. Okay, so let us keep that in mind as we are eating, and hence the reason why diet plays such a major role in the matters that are relating to memory care. Let me ask you this: how's your memory today? How is that working for you? Are you feeling sharp, irrespective to age? Or do you feel like you're sluggish in your mind? Do you feel memory clogged? Do you feel like just about a year ago you were a lot sharper than you are today? I think we have all somewhat experienced those kind of shifts in our memory health. So we have to do an assessment and ask ourselves where we are. And if you notice changes, you shouldn't wait to address it. You should try to get to it as quickly as possible, because the more you wait, the longer you are waiting, the more damage that you are causing. So once we begin to realize that the memory is being impacted by a lack of focus, low energy, not as sharp, all of those things that once we were very quick and good at, then you know that you are somewhat embarking on a bit of a problematic area, and immediate response is needed. Well, let us start with our berries. Berries, amazingly and ironically, of all kinds: blueberries, strawberries, raspberries, blackberries, berries of any kind is absolutely amazing for memory health. Part of the reason is because of the high level of antioxidants that destroys, again, free radicals, which defeats oxidative stress, and we know that that is very detrimental to memory health and cell life. Okay, so by incorporating a diet that is rich in berries of any kind, okay, and we're about to create a recipe, because you know that I like to give you those ideas, because I am aware that those are not foods that people just generally, get up and they just want a bowl of berries, except you are really health conscious, and that is something you make a very deliberate attempt to do for your life, okay? If you're not that kind of person, one of the reasons we create the recipes that we do is to encourage you to be able to eat that in a way that you find enjoyable, while still getting into your body and into your being and into your system things that are good for you and good for me and good for our overall health. So here we have some strawberries, and we have some blueberries, and you will notice that there are some orange tangerine slices that I have on here as well. And what I'm about to do is to create a way for you to enjoy those things. You can have those cut or broken up so they can release the juices that are in them. What you're trying to do is to not just create a bowl that just simply has berries, strawberries, blackberries, and you just sit there, really going like, when is this going to end? What I'm about to show you is how you can release the juices. You could cut that, or you could use your hands. By using your hands, what you're doing is a little crushing, and it releases more of the juice into your berries. And so I have the strawberries here, so I am crushing this a little because I want the juice to be released, and I'm already getting some juice coming out of this. And the strawberry smells amazing. It has that sweet smell, strawberries. So we have a bit of that here. So we drop this in, and I have a spoon here. So I have some blueberries, I have some strawberries, and very soon, and I'm mixing this up. And here's where it gets exciting. So I have here tangerines, not oranges. Those are very sweet. And what I'm doing is, because remember, I don't want you to just sit with this there dry. Variety is the spice of life. God wants us to enjoy this life and to do that abundantly. He does not want us to be miserable on this earth. No, he doesn't. That's a lie from the devil. He wants us to enjoy this life, enjoy your meals, enjoy your relationships, enjoy your friendships, enjoy your sleep, enjoy your rest. Anything that is not of that, know that the enemy is trying to ruin all of the great and good things that God brings into your life. So you have to spice things up. You have to make it exciting. We can't just wish for great things. We also have to make it happen. That's what we're doing right now. We are making it happen with our berries and some tangerine juice. And these tangerines, they are sweet, and you could get that in your local supermarket. And I used 2 tangerines, cut them in half. And if you notice, this thing, all I did was squeeze the juice, and that thing already looks so amazing. So guess what you just did? You have just turned your regular berries. Now you have that in some nice tangerine juice. I didn't use the orange juice because that is a bit more liquidy and it is not as sweet. The tangerines tend to be sweeter and they have a bit of a thickness to them. So that creates that. And because I'm someone who likes to be creative with things like that, I'm adding a little dash of cinnamon. Okay, ground cinnamon. I'm adding a little bit of ground cinnamon to the top of this. And you know me, you know me, you know me. Today I'm not going to use honey. I'm using a little agave. Okay, and that's a version of a healthy sweetener. I'm using the organic agave, and I'm just going to drizzle, just a little drizzle. My Lord and my God, I am drizzling just a little bit. Now, I know the fruit is already sweet. We talked about that many times before, and there you go. You'll see your cinnamon powder here on the top. You see your tangerine, okay? We have a tangerine here, okay? And my goodness, just that is amazing. Here you've created an amazing salad that you can use, and you can create that berries, blackberries, strawberries, blueberries, all kinds of berries, and turn that into something phenomenal. Another great, and this is great for memory health. You want to incorporate that as often as you can into your diet and feed the brain, okay? So that your memory remains clear, crisp, sharp, and alive. Dark chocolates, okay? And I have here dark chocolates. I got the this one has nuts in it. Nuts are very great for memory health. So I got the ones with nuts, hazelnuts. You want to try the dark chocolates. If you are diabetic, you want to be very, conscious in how you prepare those things or what you are taking in, watching your glucose levels and intakes. We always want to remind you of that. But here you can have one of those for your dessert, the dark chocolate. For those who are from the islands, you can use the cocoa pods. You can grate that. You can make some hot chocolate. The darker the chocolate, the more medicinal in its capability for the body. So you want to try to incorporate that into your diet. If you're having issues with memory health, if it is in your family that the matters of dementia and Alzheimer's is already manifesting, then you want to be even more deliberate in how you care for your memory health. So once again, you can incorporate dark chocolates into the diet. You can get that in the stores, or you can also use hot chocolate, as long as it's the dark version. So that is something that you want to keep in mind. And finally, amongst the things that we're able to do, I have here a combination of several other berries with bananas and kale, because dark leafy vegetables are also great for memory health. So there's some kale that is cut up in here. There's some banana, because banana is great for memory health. And there is also a combination of several berries. And you can use that to make a smoothie. And you can just put this right here in your, you can put this in your blender, and you can either pour in some milk or you can pour in some water. So milk or water, it doesn't matter. You are going to put, I'm going to use milk today, and we're just going to blend. Let's see what's happening. So we have an issue here. Our blender is refusing to, there we go. We have to work with it. So there you have it. We're able to pour this out. Now again, you can use water or you can use milk. I prefer the milk. We have almond milk, but for some people it's water. So this is what your combination would look like. You can also drop some walnuts in there, some almonds in there. So a combination of berries, all the berries you can find, some kale, and also some bananas and some walnuts or some almonds. And there you create a memory drink. You can have that as often as possible. Awesome stuff. And of course, incorporate, this is a 26 different grain diet that you can incorporate into, a bran cereal that you can use with some almond, high in fiber, The higher the fiber, the healthier the diet. I want to thank you for joining us today. Hope that you have learned something. Hope that your spirit has been stirred. Hope that you've been informed on ways that you can care for your memory health. Keep in mind that your brain is what keeps the body going, and we have to do our very best to be good to our mind, to our memory, as well as we are to our body and to our spirits. Well, whatever you do, do not only pursue physical health, pursue health on all levels, mentally, emotionally, but above all, spiritually. For you should not prosper in any areas of your health and leave your spirituality behind. Until next time on Faith and Healing, well, we always encourage you to keep the faith.